How can we detect something that doesn't interact with electromagnetic radiation, or put more simply, light? This was the question facing James Chadwick in the early 1930s. Since 1911, it was known that most of the atom's mass was concentrated in a tiny, positively charged central nucleus. After Rutherford's observation of the proton in 1919, this picture was further solidified, with the proton acting to give the nucleus its positive charge. However, there was still one piece of the puzzle that was missing. For many atoms, the measured mass was just too high, often requiring approximately twice as many protons as were expected from the nuclear charge. This suggested that there must be some other massive particle or particles with net zero electric charge accounting for this extra mass. In the early 1930s, several researchers across Europe were using polonium sources to bombard various materials with alpha particles. One such material was beryllium, and this was causing particular excitement. When hit with alpha particles, it gave off a mysterious type of radiation that was far more penetrating than anything that had been seen before. This was being studied by Walter Bothe and Herbert Becker in Germany, and Irene and Frédéric Joliot-Curie in France. But it was the Joliot-Curie's research that caught Chadwick's attention. Their paper showed that when the unknown radiation from beryllium struck a block of paraffin wax, it was powerful enough to knock protons out of the hydrogen atoms inside. They hypothesized that the radiation was an unusually strong form of gamma rays. But Chadwick suspected something else entirely. He doubted that the massless nature of the photons within the gamma rays would allow them to knock loose heavy particles like protons, and wondered if this radiation could in fact be the neutral particles he'd long been searching for. Working tirelessly with little sleep, Chadwick raced to repeat their experiments for himself. He quickly became convinced that the radiation that was observed from beryllium was in fact a neutral particle about the mass of a proton. He also noted that with no electric charge, neutrons could penetrate much further into the targets than alpha particles or gamma rays, exactly as observed. After only 2 weeks of experiments, in February 1932, he published his first paper, titled The Possible Existence of a Neutron, in which he proposed that the Joliot-Curie's research, combined with his own, gave much stronger evidence for the mysterious particle of radiation being neutrons rather than from gamma rays. By May 1932, this was followed by a second paper, titled The Existence of a Neutron, which would go on to win him the 1935 Nobel Prize for Physics and open the door to a new era of nuclear physics. Now, nearly a century later, I'm stood in the new home of the Cavendish Laboratory, next to the very apparatus that Chadwick used to make this discovery of the elusive neutral particles that are now known as neutrons. Whilst this nondescript brass tube might not catch your eye, it was at the heart of Chadwick's discovery, as high-energy neutrons were produced inside via bombardment of beryllium with alpha particles. It's a quiet reminder that even the most unassuming objects can be used to revolutionize our understanding of science when in the hands of someone bold enough to ask the right questions.